Hello everyone, Brenton here from It's Hockey Night. So what do the Maple Leafs do this off-season? I'm going to be starting a series of, every team and what they're going to do in the off-season, sort of bringing together my own personal sort of opinions and, what they've sort of said in their post-mortem press conferences when everyone packs up their shit and gets out of the bubble. And obviously the teams that didn't go there as well will sort of start heading down there, especially as I start to get more jerseys. I'm in the St. Pat's jersey. Matthews. Oh, it's a good jersey. It's a really good jersey. Got it from Ben H Sports. It's a good jersey, right? All right, let's dive straight in. So the one thing that I noticed during the press conference and the Q&A that went for an hour, I was trying to stay awake while they give. I'll give credit to Dubas. He doesn't give hockey answers. In the fact that he gives you little pieces to sort of nibble on. He spoke about consistency a lot. That was the word that kept coming up, consistency. So where do we think this team's going to be at next year? Goaltending is, pretty much going to be the same. Jack Campbell and Anderson, they're going to be back again. No real change there. They've also mentioned that they're not going to make any moves to their core four. Which I kind of... Well, the way they kind of said it was they're not actively looking to get rid of their core four. Obviously, if an amazing trade comes up, they'll probably look for it. But that's every team. That's nothing to really look there. It just seems like they're not actively shopping them around. I would even say core five, because I'd say Morgan Riley's definitely on that sort of list. I think you'd be very folly to get rid of him. And then outside of that, I think everyone's just completely fair game. Maybe outside of Muzzin. I feel like they need a player like Muzzin around and what he offers. They really suffered when he got injured. That really hurt them. So yeah, let's start with the D. I think that's a really good point. So Riley, Muzzin will definitely be back next year, and then the rest of it is cross your fingers. Really cross your fingers with this team, because you got Sandin, Dermott, who, at times has looked really good. They have to sign him, of course. And, they might be able to get a pretty penny for him out in the market if they do look to trade him. But I still think there's a good player there, so I don't think you should do that. Rosen and Hull. Hull, I don't think is an NHL defenseman at all, so I think that 2x3 contract, $2 million for the next 3 years, it's going to be one of those ones that sting you a little bit, because it's going to be very hard to move that, and he was responsible for a fair few goals during that Columbus series, and I think adds to that inconsistency of this team. And you also have Lehkonen coming from the KHL, so that's something really, really good for this team. Liljegren, they're still not ready to sort of put him in the lineup. I don't know where they're at with him, but Lehtonen is good to go now as an NHL player. So that's something that a lot of people, when they're writing up their sort of post-mortems and where this team's going to look for. Defense might be okay in some way. Tyson Barrie leaves and CC leaves, but I think that's especially why Barrie played this season with the Toronto team. It just, oh boy, that trade just whiff. And credit to Dubas in hindsight. These are easy trades to say, oh, look how terrible that was. But at the time, everyone was kind of like, okay, I get it. Kadri got suspended 2 playoffs in a row, and it made a bit of sense. Plus, they do have a lot of offense. They definitely could have used someone like Kadri, but in that series against Columbus, I think that would have helped a little bit. Then again, he may have got suspended again, and the change of scenery might be helping him out in Colorado. You never know with all these things. It's all these what-ifs, isn't it? So then you look at their forward line, and this is where I think a move gets made. They'll probably look to try get Kyle Clifford. Engvall's another one that, he's going to be around for a while. Mikheyev needs a contract. They'll probably keep him. They were pretty impressed with him. Obviously didn't do very well in the playoffs, but looking pretty good. Jason Spezza, they're meeting with him next week, and there's a lot of rumors with Joe Thornton, so I would say you're getting one or the other of those two, right? Unless they both kind of retire. I think you're definitely getting one of those just to help out the dressing room a little bit, and they're very impressed with Spezza, but I think obviously if they can get Thornton, they'll probably jump on that as well. So I think someone like I don't know about Kerfoot. I don't know what his trade market value is, but I think Johnson and Kapanen are definitely one, if not both, might be gone in this offseason. Especially Kapanen, his cap hits more than what his salary is, and obviously with everything going on at the moment, that's very, very attractive. So you could look to trade him away and bring someone else on. Depending on how much you need to pay these players and what you can get Gudis for. Gudis' name has been thrown out there a fair bit, and showed up in 31 Thoughts or 32 Thoughts. I don't know what they're calling it now. That could be another defensive person to come in. I think that's what they're going to try to do. Try flip Kapanen on Johnson with Robertson coming up. He'll probably be NHL ready, and the last thing you want to do... with everything going on with the minor leagues right now, if you've got a fringe player that's young, you probably want him in the lineup and sacrifice that month or two that you may get some poor performances to try blood him. Just because, they're not really going to get as many games elsewhere. Gauthier will definitely be gone. See you later. And then you can kind of see from there what this team's going to do. It's still a pretty young team. That's the thing. I think a lot of people had a lot of expectations because they've lost in the playoffs a few times now. And I think that they definitely need some presence within this team that knows how to win. I think that's missing a little bit out of this franchise. Just that one player that knows how to win and can just sort of, keep the team going when they've got the foot on the jugular. They were able to come back a few times this season with the Blue Jackets. They were just very inconsistent all year with the 70 games. And then obviously this... I think that was their biggest problem. It's not that they were willing, able to come back or wake up or do any of those things. It's just if they had a very good performance... they'll lose to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver the next game, right? It was just this up and down. This whole season was just up and down. And I have a feeling that if you don't trade away these core players like your Marner, your Matthews, I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be very difficult to. Nylander, I think, was pretty good that series. I think Marner was the one that went missing. And of course, he's going to get the flack because, $10.8 million cap hit. Not showing up is not great. Tavares was fantastic that series, just couldn't score. Eventually it was going to work out for him. Hyman was fine. So I just think they need to fill up a few more pieces and be a bit smart with the trades. But I have a feeling mostly, this cap's not going up, so they're going to have to get very creative. And I just have a feeling Kapanen or Johnson will be one of the few players not back that is currently under contract for next year. But unless there's a big trade out there, I just can't see. I just can't see any big moves being made. I think Nylander would definitely get some interest from teams. I definitely think so. I just don't think what you're getting is going to make a lot of sense. And if you kind of force this at this point when your core's 22, 23, 24 years old, it's going to hurt. You've got a couple of players coming in on pretty low contracts. Lehkonen is one. Robertson's another one. So there's a little bit of luck there. It's just going to be I think it's going to be try get another hard-nosed defenseman like a Gudis. They might look to trade Muzzin and put Gudis in Muzzin's spot and then get someone else or just play around with that. That could be the other thing that happens. So there's a fair few things that can happen. But Dubas was very adamant that he wasn't going to trade away his core. And usually if a GM just says that, then usually it's a good indication that they're probably going to trade them away. But everything Dubas has said thus far has been pretty on the ball. Maybe the only thing would be the coach firing, but at that point they're 25th in the league, so at some point you got to go against your word and say, well, we're 25th in the league, right? So it's just, I wonder how much of a leash everyone has within this organization. I think Shanahan's definitely going to have a little bit more of a fingerprint on it, and you look at the way he won in teams, and this team is definitely nothing like that, so you just wonder if a little bit of pressure to get a little bit more grit. But I think, going by the underlying numbers is fine. And again, these players will figure it out. There's too many good players here on this team to not be able to do some damage at some point and be consistent. That's the problem. They're just really not consistent. I also wonder if they try and go out and get a cheap forward down the bottom as well, just to sort of boast to those that winger sort of status. There's a few players come to mind, like you might be able to get Connor Sherry on a pretty easy deal. Patrick Maroon would be another one. He would offer a fair bit for this franchise, even get him for cheap. Eric Howler, there's another name that comes to mind. Jesper Fast. Fast might be a little bit out of their price range. But yeah, there's a few players kind of lingering around that, you might be able to get some real value for money down there in that bottom six. If you can get creative. Derek Brassard, there's a risk there, but might be the way to go. There's just a few pieces that can really help in that sense. The other defender I think they might be able to get is Christopher Tanev. I know he gets a bit of flack, but I think there's a pretty good D-man there. I just have a feeling that that guy with no teeth is just something that Toronto's been missing for a long time. Just some hard-nosed player that they can all get around. They need to be skilled. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying let's go get Eric Tangradi and shove him in at this point. It is really just about being smart about what you're going to do and going from there. But yeah, you've got to get creative with this cap. I just don't think there's going to be massive moves. I just don't think there's a big market for it. Could be completely wrong. Dubas might be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat with some teams trying to be creative with getting salary off the books, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, guys, if you did like this video, hit the like button. Otherwise, hit subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to do this for all the teams that have been eliminated coming up and sort of previewing games. So these are going to be daily. What are these teams going to do in the off-season? And then we can kind of look a little bit closer with free agency when the rumors start to spread. But yeah, always comment down below. What do you think they're going to do? What do you think this lineup looks like? I just think everyone's really got that bitter pill going. But you got to remember, this is a very young team that's still yet to win anything. And they probably overperformed at the start there, so getting to the playoffs with the Capitals and maybe that first series against Boston, and they just need the ability to just, when they've got that team with that foot on that neck, you can't let it go, and that's been the thing. They've had 2 chances to beat Boston last year. This year they definitely had chances to beat Columbus, but just weren't competitive the whole time, and that's a bit of an issue too. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, and have a great day. See you, and bye.